welcome to our first action lesson. Today we are going to learn our first songs after we learn our first two chords, and we are going to learn 5 golden tips to how you will play cleanly any chord. Remember, what we really want is, while a lot of people can play some chords, but they sound buzzy and some strings don't really make a sound, we always want to have in front of our eyes the goal of having a very clean sound. When you got a clean sound and your chords ring beautifully, you sound very nice. So, let's begin. The first thing you want to make sure is that you trimmed and cut your nails on the left hand, because if not, they will get stuck in the fretboard. Anyway, here's our first chord right here. Meet the E chord. Unlike a lot of chord diagrams that you will see online, that you are looking at them and you're like, what? Where is the bottom of the guitar? Where is right? Where is left? So here it's very clear to understand. It's very easy to understand because the thickest string is also the thickest string on the diagram. So it all makes sense. We got the E chord. First finger is right here on the 3rd string, 1st fret. Second finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. 3rd finger, 4th string, 2nd fret. This is the E chord. One super important thing is that if a string doesn't make a sound, so you want to stop for a second, look at it, find the one that doesn't make a sound, and 100% the problem is within one of those next 5 tips that we're going to work on. So let's begin. The first tip you want to have in mind is to always press down the chord with the very tip of your finger. That means right here on this pillow of your finger. Because if you press down here or up here closer to the nail, so what's going to happen is that most likely you will touch one of the strings, the neighbor strings around, and you will block it. So always press with the very tip of the fingers. Now, you will in the beginning get calluses on your fingers, and in the beginning it's gonna hurt a little bit, and you might even have to stop for a day or two, but this is part of the game and you'll make it through, so don't worry. One tip I can give you here is don't play your guitar right after you took a shower, for example, because when your fingers are wet, they're very soft and it's much easier to get those calluses. Now, as you notice, I'm playing right now with a pick, but you can also play with your fingers. Do whatever that is comfortable for you right now. In the next lesson, we're going to talk a bit about playing with your fingers, playing with a pick, advantages, disadvantages, the best tips for how to do both. So I will see you there, but for now, just do what's more comfortable for you. Second tip is that your fingers should always reach in an arch. What does that mean? That instead of, for example, playing the chord with fingers that are coming in a flat way, you need to come in an arch. And when you do that, you are able to press down the chord without touching the neighbor string. However, pay attention to one string that is dangerous. This is the 1st string, because a lot of times what will happen is that with the palm of your hand right here, you will touch it. So just pay attention to it. All the strings are ringing nicely and your fingers reach in an arch. The 3rd tip is that your fingers should never be on the fret itself, because then there won't be any sound, or almost there won't be any sound. Your fingers can be anywhere within the fret, for example in the middle, closer to the guitar body, closer to the head, but not on the fret itself. Next tip is pay attention to the numberings. That means when you look at the diagram, you can see that there are numbers inside. These are by the numbers of the finger. That means, just like we said, 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd, and the pinky is the 4th. Now, why? For example, when you get to play the D chord, this is the correct way to press down a D chord. But let's say in the beginning, your instincts might tell you otherwise, and they might tell you, hey, let's play the D chord like this, for example. The problem is that what I want to tell you is that those fingerings make sense because, for example, if you will learn how to press down the D like that, and then you'll get to a transition from the D to a G chord. So instead of just, this is the correct way, instead of just making a simple transition where this finger stays planted, so when you do it in the incorrect way, you will have to change all of the fingers. So it makes sense, pay attention to those fingerings. The last tip, and this is a super important one, is to use your thumb wisely in order to support your fingers from behind. And that means you need to press down hard enough so there will be sound. Because if you press too light, there won't be sound. But if you want to make it easier on your hand, so make sure your thumb reaches from behind, and then it will be easier. So you use your thumb to support you. This is how it looks like. With different chords, it looks a bit different, but you can notice that my thumb is always supporting from behind. And again, you're not supposed to be pressing too strongly. If you feel a lot of pressure or you're using a lot of muscles, you're doing something wrong. Take it easy. It shouldn't be hard to press down. So these are the 5 tips. Now we're going to move on to our second chord, and with that second chord, we're going to be able to start playing our first 3 songs. And that next chord is going to be an A chord. So that's how it looks like. Now, you will already see that there is, on the 6th string, it is made of a broken line. You will see that on a lot of chords. That means that on the A chord, you are not supposed to play the 6th string. The reason is that the 6th string doesn't belong to the chord, and it will sound a bit off if you will play the 6th string. And I know in the beginning it might be hard, it is hard, to pay attention exactly to where you're strumming from, and if you're strumming from the 6th or from the 5th or from the 4th, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you will play those strings, but let's try not to. So let's start with the A chord. The way we're going to press down the A chord is, first finger is going to be right here, 4th string, 2nd fret, second finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. This looks like this. You really have to reach in an arch because if not, it's really easy to touch the 5th string or the 1st string and then they won't make any sound. So we're trying to get the A chord to ring nicely. So when we switch from the E to the A, those 2 fingers, we don't need to move them individually, one after the other, but instead they can just move as a unit. Both of them just move down 2 strings. So this is how it looks like, from here to here, and on the same time, we move the index finger from here to here. E, A. E, A. On key number 6, I'm going to show you 2 huge hacks to how you can switch chords effortlessly, and I'm going to already give you a sneak peek into one of them. And one of them is that, very simply, in order to get those chord transitions right and going well for you, and this is the biggest key in order to play songs smoothly and not having to look in the middle of the song when you're switching, is to practice simply moving from the E to the A. You can do it a dozen of times, you can do it 20 times, 30 times. Really, in 2 minutes, you can do it many times, and then do it for 2 minutes now, do it for 2 minutes in the evening, 2 minutes tomorrow, and bam, within 2 days, you get this transition so much smoother. You won't believe it. You just like cut through weeks of work within just 2 or 3 days. The same thing you can do with an exercise that I'm going to show you in key number 5, which is how to learn new chords easily. And this is, for example, we learned the A chord, so reset your fingers right here on the tie, open up your palm, and then press down the A chord. Again, make sure you press it cleanly. Then reset again, play it once again. Just the same, do it 20 times, 30 times, do it again in the evening. This is the exercise that helped me the most in learning new chords, and I'm still using it. I'm going to explain more about it in key number 5 and give you another huge hack. Anyway, so these were the E chord and the A chord, and now we are ready for our first 3 songs. it is important that you will start with For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield, because it is a bit easier than the two others. And whatever you do, keep What I Got as the third song, because it is slightly more challenging. So anyway, I'm going to see you in the first lesson, For What It's Worth. If you need, have a listen on YouTube to those 3 songs, so it will refresh you how they sound like, or if you don't know them, it will show you those awesome songs, and then we're going to learn how to play them. So I hope you're ready for our first real songs, and I will see you in the Buffalo Springfield lesson. Goodbye.